sorry. Hi, I'm Carly with Axios. I'm sorry. Just
Oh,
put my
nice
foot
to
in my
meet you.
mouth.
I'm Rob Masson.
Yes, your photos. That's what I'm thinking of. You take beautiful photos.
No, you're thinking of John Snell, but
No, you do. Like I said,
I'll pass that along.
Okay. All right. I'm just digging deeper. Just digging deeper.
I do post an occasional photo, but nobody really congratulates me on it.
Well, yes. I'm just gonna stop.
Probably best.
being here Wednesday, coming back and bouncing back to the weekly Wednesday briefings, and I appreciate your presence. As I always do, I kind of start with just giving you an overview of some of the, I start with public safety and giving you some little other things that I want to share. Then we'll turn it over to John. We'll walk through questions and answers, and then we'll bring it to a close. And so starting with public safety and looking at the preliminary data, always utilizing it from the New Orleans Police Department, year-to-date stats through July 22nd, comparing again 2023 with the year of 2022, we just continue to see steady progress. Total crimes against persons we're seeing are down 19%, murders are down 20%, armed robberies we're seeing down 30%, non-fatal shooting incidents are down 15%, non-fatal shooting victims are down 17%. Carjackings, respectively, remain down at 44%. Now, as I always say, this doesn't mean that we haven't seen experiences of violent crime in the city. But what it does mean that our New Orleans police officers continue to not only engage, continue to work with law enforcement partners, continue to use deployment strategies that are aligned with data that we see and the trends that we see on a daily basis, and are able to maneuver in real time, again, moving us in the right direction relative to a steady progress towards and downward spiral of violent crime in the city. As of July the 22nd, again, the New Orleans Police Department has now confiscated 1,696 guns so far this year, getting them off the street, compared to 1,445 at the same time on last year. So again, you know, it matters. Getting guns off the street matters, and of course, keeping them off the street. I always say, you know, what bothers me the most is just knowing that there's more on the street. As it relates again to the confiscations, it really speaks to a 17.3% increase in the ability of getting these arms off the street, guns off the street. NOPD has made 514 firearm arrests this year as well, year to date, compared to only 291 at the same time last year, again showing an increase of 77% relative to firearm arrests in the city of New Orleans. They matter as well. NOPD has hosted 6 gun safety classes so far this year, distributing over 300 gun locks. I guess the good news relative to this is that residents are responding. The public is responding because they're participating in these events that the city is consistently having, and of course in partnership with our partners like Children's Hospital and the like. But the New Orleans Health Department just continues to remain focused in our holistic approach and focusing on root causes as well. Good news, you know, having launched Class 199, the New Orleans Police Academy. Good news. Of course, I've launched the most classes that we've seen in decades, but really this particular class with 33 recruits is the largest that we've seen, and really that I've seen under my leadership since 2019. So again, progress. And that's what we want to continue to see, those individuals who are answering the call to serve, you know, in spite of our challenges, seeing the hope and seeing that they can make a difference by joining the New Orleans Police Department, joining the men and women within our department, and moving progress forward. That's what we want, and we'll continue on that path based on how we have just kind of restructured recruitment practices, and we're just seeing that they're paying off and in real time. And even when I believe at my last briefing, I talked about prior to launching the class. At that time, I knew we had 22 recruits in the bank. But still, how I told you, also we were not going to stop, and we ended up launching with 33. So again, every day, the team is remaining very focused. Again, that 16th class of police recruits under my administration, and I'm proud of that. Class 196, as you know, as we graduated earlier, we finished and graduated 11 recruits. But again, going back to progress, we're moving in the right direction. And classes 97, 197, and 198 are set really to graduate later this year with a total of 38 recruits. So again, progress. Got to go back to that. They had me on it. 15 classes, graduated with a total of 275 recruits. But again, on that path of graduating, not just relative to the New Orleans Police Department. As you've heard us say, public safety and our public safety teams across the board, we're hiring. We need people to answer that call, and we're seeing that. So the fire department recruit class, we just graduated 7 graduates earlier this month. You know, my chief is saying small but mighty. He told me on Monday he was really excited about this particular class because of the skills and the individuals. Again, small but mighty. Their next class is currently in session, and with 14 recruits that remain steady and in progress coming to join the fire department. With a target launch in September 2023, recruit class R0323 currently has 31 applicants in the background check. So again, progress. We're not just putting folks in as they're answering the call, but we're also lining more up who want to answer that call. Also, mentioning public safety, I have to talk about EMS. So EMS graduated 17 personnel from their academy so far this year, but with another 9 in the queue. And also promotions are very much tied to this as well. So my chief, Samaran, is excited about progress. So again, I give it to you whole because that's what public safety is. It's a comprehensive plan. The New Orleans Police Department, the superintendent search. So you all know that we rendered 6 semi-finalists that went forth through a 2-day assessment center that was stood up on last week, the 20th and the 21st. They were evaluated, as you all know, by IACP, the public safety personnel, and stakeholders, both that internal group I shared with you as well as the external group that was also shared with you. Now, the IACP will move forward in additional assessments of each candidate relative to their performance. I know more background checks are coming, as well as evaluations that are now into this next phase, with a recommendation of up to 3 candidates to be considered as finalists. Then I will interview each of those finalists with some senior members of my team, any individuals that I would like to tap, and we'll move through interview, and I'll bring forth a candidate to put before the New Orleans City Council that's aligned with the charter that has been changed by the public, giving the City Council confirmation authority with the candidate that I bring forth. So again, we're moving steady and in accordance with not only the process, but also the charter. Budget meetings, kicked off budget meetings on last week. It was really exciting. I always like to kind of get back in the fold. I remember last year when we first were able to get back to them without masks, and now the second year in a row, it's like, wow, progress, steady, we're holding strong, and the city of New Orleans just continues to see progress, especially relative to our budget practices, funding, revenues, and also just being prudent in our practices. This just again has demonstrated how this city has been able to move through crises, move through challenges, but coming out stronger, and we're wanting to maintain that footing as we move through 2023, 24, and 25. As we've shared with you time and time again, looking for the city to really kind of get back to 2025. So we're utilizing that fund balance that we've had to fill gaps and, again, keep us steady into 2025. But because of this work and being very intentional with delivering results, my administration, my leadership team across the board, and even that, as I've understood with the New Orleans City Council, that we are in agreement of a no roll forward relative to the quadrennial assessment that we have before us right now. We're going to continue with budget meetings, as you know, moving through this, but also into next week. Major new infrastructure initiative. I wanted to mention this Smart Surfaces Coalition. This is something that the city has been involved in, in terms of mitigating just the challenges that we continue to face being on the front lines of climate change. Cooling surfaces down has to be a priority. We're seeing that we've been really in an emergency, in a crisis mode throughout the summer with these heat waves, heat advisories. The earth has been the hottest in its history. So the city of New Orleans just remains at the forefront of that, but also your city, your mayor, in partnership with my brother and sister mayors across this country, leaning into assets like the U.S. Conference of Mayors. We're just continuing to lift up not only partnerships, but working together relative to examples like smart surfaces. Mayor Dickens of Atlanta, Mayor Wu of Boston, Mayor Daniel, our new mayor coming in there in Columbia, South Carolina, Rickenman, Mayor Johnson of Dallas. Again, we're just continuing to be partners and leaning in. Climate change is just a lived experience and a reality in the city of New Orleans. I mentioned we have been the hottest, but this July 4th, as I said, the hottest day on earth recorded in history, with no indicators really of slowing down. And that's why it puts even more added pressure on us to make changes in real time and as best as we can to make sure that we're putting up the best defense possible relative to climate and the impacts that it has on our people, that it has on our environment. So with that, I'm going to turn it over, John, and if I miss something, you can get me straight, but I'm sure it'll be pulled out by our media present. John?
Starting with Carly with Axios, and we'll go from right to left.
Hi, Mayor. So you talked about the search for the next chief. What's the timeline for IACP to get back with the up to three finalists?
Sure. So my expectation is within the next 2 weeks that I should see the finalists coming to me. Surely if that changes, if it comes sooner or come later, you'll be the first to know in regards to that. But giving the necessary time, I would say, to further advance evaluations, further advance background checks and the like, which are aligned with the evaluations that are going on.
So 3 names have been leaked by sources, I guess, over the past few days.
Mm-hmm.
Are those 3 among the finalists?
They haven't gotten to me. Those were things that were leaked to you, but not officially have come to me. So I'm going to let the process play out as I've done. I will continue to share as we have, and we'll just move through. I think the priority is making sure that we select the best candidate for, to lead the New Orleans Police Department moving forward. I think that is the objective.
WWL, and then Stephanie with the Advocate.
Good morning, Mayor.
Okay. Good morning.
Again, on the police chief search, wondering if you could share what kind of feedback you got from the so-called internal stakeholders who also met with the 6 semi-finalists.
Sure. So I haven't met with either of the groups. Okay, so I have not received any official follow-up, that sort of thing, what you're asking me, whether that's from the internal group or from the external group. I'm letting the process move forward. And I know that both groups will, submit an overall assessment to me. I just haven't received it just yet.
And if I could follow up, what, given your support for Interim Chief Woodford, is this her job to lose? How much of a kind of open mind do you have to one of the other candidates presenting themselves as your choice?
Well, I am presenting a fair, credible, and transparent process, and that has been evident through IACP. I will continue to be open, as I've always been. Making these decisions are not easy. I have to make a decision. And so that's what leadership is in these roles. As Chief Executive Officer, I have to make a decision. Being open and doing so to render the best for the citizens of this city, that's what I'm doing. And so that's what I have. That's what I have to give you.
But how much will, like, the face-to-face interviews, obviously you'll get to that point. Interim Chief Woodford, I presume you don't know or haven't met and interviewed the others, and how much could that influence your final decision?
Well, of course, doing the job does matter. Chief is doing the job right now, but that does not close my mind off, nor, the candidates, right, who have stepped up to put their name in to lead our department. I think they need to be respected in this process as well. So it's not just respect shown to our current chief, but it really is respect shown to those individuals who should have and will have a fair shot and an opportunity. And I'm going to provide that. There was something else you asked me that I kind of lost it. I don't know if I fully answered.
I think you did.
Okay. Thank you.
With the advocate.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
On budget-related issues, Ron Foreman said the other night he had spoken to you and you had committed $15 million to help fund construction of the Riverfront Wharves project. So my question is, did you commit to that specific amount? And if so, where might it come from?
Sure. So understand this. Making a commitment to a funding source or a level of funding is something that, in terms of where it'll come from, I have not done that. Making a commitment to revitalizing the riverfront is something that is a priority. Make no mistake about that. The goal relative to the investments that the city has already made, those that we've seen results, those investments that have been made where the results are forthcoming because projects are underway right now. And with Super Bowl 2025 as kind of being my internal goal that I've set with my teams across the board. And this also speaks to riverfront development. Now, not fully in the complement, I believe that the Audubon Institute is now engaging the public in regards to the wharfs, and further, I know that will go beyond 900 days from now. But my level of commitment is for full redevelopment and restoration relative to our riverfront. And that means working with all partners, all stakeholders, to fill any gaps that come from or that are evident from planning that has to happen. We don't have design, we don't have construction costs, that sort of thing. So it really is, in my mind, a little premature to talk about what it will cost, what the expenses will be even reoccurring. I don't have all the data yet, but I am committed to a full redevelopment and revitalization and growth of the riverfront. I think it's essential. I think that other cities have been able to embrace their river in ways that I believe that our city can and have it work for us long term and for generations. That's my goal, that's my vision, that is my commitment. More will come as I learn more and as we engage the public around it.
Fox said and then Ben with the advocate.
Mayor, good morning, would you care to comment on our recent reporting about your use of the Pentalba for overnight stays?
Mm-hmm.
Did you need 3 police officers to escort your people to the Pentalba late at night when the city's now below 900 officers? And what do you think about what appears to be a renewed push to take away your control of that apartment?
Sure. So what I will say is that my executive protection team is my executive protection team for me as serving as the mayor of the city of New Orleans. What I would like to know is, when did Fox 8 stop paying for footage directly and Lee Zurich picking up paying for it personally? I think it's overstepping. I've indicated the impact that this has had on me, and the fact that you just continue, I have a problem with that, and I think it's not only disrespectful, I think it crosses the line. But as it relates to my EP team, as it relates to my family, totally off limits. So thank you very much.
Are you worried that the council may move to take away your authority over that apartment?
Well, I am worried that the council would move to take away authority of the mayor of the city of New Orleans that has been in existence for over 93 years. I think targeting me specifically while I'm serving, I think that that's pretty dangerous. But relative to protections in place for the mayor of the city of New Orleans, regardless of who the mayor is, that's something that matters to me, because it's not just LaToya Cantrell, it's every other mayor that should have the flexibility of mayors of our past. And so, like me, I'm serving now, but again, another mayor will be elected, and I believe that that mayor should come in with the level of flexibility that I came in with, being duly elected and re-elected in the city of New Orleans. This unit, 93 years. You know, they say there's something about Mary. I'm starting to think, there's something about LaToya. This is personal, and I think it crosses the line. That's all I have to share on that.
Ben Myers with the Advocate and then WDSU.
Chief Search, if I understand correctly, you said that you're expecting the three finalists delivered to you by IACP within the next 2 weeks or so, and then interviews will follow after that. Do you have a date or date
Potentially.
range in mind as to when this will wrap up and you will make an announcement?
No, I'm not going to box myself into that, because when I answer those questions, that's exactly, what you do. You box me in, and I don't think it's fair. What I do believe is fair is allowing the consultants, IACP, to do their due diligence, to allow me time to do my due diligence, to meet with and interact with finalists as they come to me. I do believe my ability to interview them will matter. My level of trust and engagement and building that relationship matters, and it does come with those face-to-face interviews. That's the piece that you asked that I knew it was something else. But just getting back to it, I'm not boxing myself in. I gave 2 weeks as flexibility. And I said that if there was something that I could render sooner, that I would, and if not, it'll ebb and flow. But I'm not going to box myself in.
Understood. By that same token, there was a schedule laid out in the initial contract with IACP that called for a finalist to have been chosen roughly a month ago now. Can you give us an idea of why it has taken longer than the schedule that was presented?
Sure. So IACP, who has been engaged and who has been managing this process for the city of New Orleans, did have to prolong certain aspects of their plan, meaning their phased approach, step by step. A large portion of that, is my understanding, a 2-week period, was to go a little bit deeper into the community relative to community engagement. Given the fact that the search was something that was I would say advanced based on the public wanting a search, they then went deeper, and I supported that. I support that 100%. Being able to listen a little bit more and a little bit deeper into the community, I think it had an impact. And so that is what I've been told, and that's what I see as being the issue of prolonging the search. But I say, and as you all have reported, that this is one of the largest or biggest decisions. I've had so many as mayor, but this is maybe the most recent, I would say, largest or biggest decisions that I will have to face as mayor. And it warrants the time necessary to ensure that we have the best chief for the city of New Orleans. It's just that important.
WDSU.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon.
We know city council investigation shows that your office may have broken some state laws by mailing flyers regarding the recall efforts earlier this year.
Mhm.
Do you believe that your office may have broken some state laws?
Well, what I believe and what I know is that my office, the comms team, did their due diligence with putting out correspondence to educate the public in terms of a year in, as well as priorities as we move forward. And that really was the basis of putting out that level of communication, which is really aligned with other ways that we educate the public, whether that's newsletters and the like. So I believe that the team did their job and they did it above board. You know, as I've always been with investigations that come our way, we comply. And as we've always seen too with these investigations, we come out with them, we do what we say, you know, and we do what we say, you know, and we say what we do and we do what we say.
And I understand Mr. Gregory is a big part of that investigation. You mentioned due diligence. The council does not agree with that. So your response to that, and then do you think tax money should have been used for these efforts?
So what I will say, educating the public about what the city of New Orleans is doing, absolutely. You asked me something about someone being in disagreement. Well, they have a right to be in disagreement. I am standing behind the work and the efforts to educate the public on progress that is being made and by the use of tax dollars.
And then one more question. Do you plan on appearing before a federal judge to answer their questions regarding the Baffy investigation?
I have not been asked, and so as I said, I think just a few minutes ago, anything that comes my way relative to any investigations, the city of New Orleans, LaToya Cantrell will comply and will move things along. That's all I have.
Mr. Gregory, did you want to say anything regarding that investigation with the city council?
This isn't his press conference, this is hers, so he won't be answering anything. Last question, WGM.
That's Mr. Joseph.
Amid this quadrennial reassessment year, the council has asked the sheriff's office, school board, other agencies not to roll their tax millages forward. What's your response to that?
My response is that we're on the same page. I'm in agreement and also doing the same. So we're in accordance. You know, I believe it's the right thing to do. Obviously, we seem to be unified in that, and it's a good thing. Feels good.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
No more questions. But
Thank you so much.